Breaking news: Indonesia, the Philippines, and Vietnam have just announced a historic alliance, sending shockwaves across the globe. Their goal: to counter China's growing influence and assertiveness in the South China Sea, a region long fraught with tension and territorial disputes. The announcement flashes across television screens in homes, airports, and cafes worldwide. People pause, eyes glued to the headlines, sensing that something monumental is unfolding. The atmosphere in newsrooms is tense, with journalists scrambling to cover every angle of this unprecedented development. Anchors sit upright, their voices steady but urgent, conveying the gravity of the situation. Every word is measured, every update critical, as viewers hang on to each new detail. Behind them, digital maps of the South China Sea glow ominously red, highlighting the many disputed islands and contested waters that have become flashpoints for regional conflict. Across Southeast Asia and beyond, families and friends gather in living rooms and public spaces, watching the news unfold in real time. The world is watching, waiting to see what comes next, aware that the stakes have never been higher. In Jakarta, Manila, and Hanoi, government buildings are absolutely abuzz with activity. Officials rush through corridors, phones ring non-stop, and urgent meetings are called at all hours. Leaders from all three nations gather for emergency meetings, their faces set with determination. Outside, journalists flood the streets, microphones in hand, eager to capture every statement and reaction, while citizens voice their hopes and concerns. Meanwhile, social media erupts. Hashtags like South China Sea Stand and regional unity trend within minutes, as millions share their thoughts, fears, and support. The digital conversation is fast and passionate, reflecting the urgency of the moment. On the streets, the atmosphere is electric, charged with both uncertainty and hope. People gather in groups, some anxious, others optimistic, all aware that history is being made before their eyes. This announcement marks a real turning point in regional politics. Never before have Indonesia, the Philippines, and Vietnam come together in such a unified front. Their cooperation signals a new era of solidarity and shared purpose. Their message is clear and resolute. They will not stand by as China asserts its dominance in their backyard. Instead, they are choosing to stand together, determined to protect their sovereignty and the future of their nations. The alliance is more than just words. It is action. Joint naval patrols, coordinated strategies, and a promise to defend their territorial rights. This is a bold signal to the world that the balance of power in Asia may be shifting and that these nations are ready to shape their own destiny. Indonesia, the Philippines, and Vietnam have long faced similar threats in the vast contested waters of the South China Sea. For decades, each nation has watched as their sovereignty and maritime rights have been challenged, not just by nature, but by powerful neighbors. Now, for the first time in history, they come together with a single, determined purpose: to resist China's growing power and assertiveness in these crucial waters. Their unity marks a turning point in regional security. This new cooperation is honestly unprecedented. Never before have these countries coordinated so closely, setting aside old rivalries for a common cause. It's not just a treaty or a handshake for the cameras. It's a deep commitment to mutual defense and shared prosperity. It's a united front, built on shared interests, urgent need, and a recognition that their futures are intertwined. For years, each country tried to deal with China alone, relying on their own limited resources and diplomatic channels. They filed diplomatic protests, held tense talks, and sometimes even clashed at sea, risking escalation. But, these efforts often ended in frustration and disappointment, with little to show for their struggles. China's ships just kept coming, undeterred by protests or warnings. Its artificial islands kept growing, transforming reefs into military outposts almost overnight. Its fishing fleets continued to sweep the rich waters, depleting resources that local communities depend on. Now, the three nations realize they are stronger together than apart. By joining forces, they amplify their voices and their capabilities. They're sharing intelligence, coordinating diplomacy, and planning joint military exercises, steps that were unthinkable just a few years ago. This is a major shift, not just for Southeast Asia, but for the entire balance of power in the region. It sends a powerful message to Beijing and to the world. Southeast Asia will not be divided or intimidated. Unity does not come easily, though. Building trust takes time and effort. There are differences in language, politics, and history, old wounds that still linger beneath the surface. but the shared threat has brought them closer than ever before, forging a new united front that could reshape the future of the South China Sea. The South China Sea is one of the world's busiest and most strategically important waterways. Every year, trillions of dollars worth of goods pass through these waters, connecting Asia with the rest of the world. It's not just a highway for ships, it's also incredibly rich in natural resources, like fish, oil, and gas, making it a vital lifeline for millions of people who depend on these waters for their livelihoods. But honestly, it's also a sea of conflict, where tensions simmer just below the surface, and sometimes boil over into open confrontation. China claims almost all of it, marked by its so-called nine-dash line, a sweeping boundary that cuts deep into the exclusive economic zones of its neighbors. These sweeping claims overlap with the internationally recognized waters of Indonesia, the Philippines, and Vietnam, sparking disputes and diplomatic standoffs. Over the past decade, China has dramatically transformed the landscape by building artificial islands on reefs and shoals, turning once empty stretches of sea into fortified outposts. On these islands, it's installed military bases, runways, radar stations, and missile systems, giving it a powerful foothold in the region. Chinese Coast Guard ships now regularly patrol these contested waters, enforcing Beijing's claims and often confronting foreign vessels. Fishermen from other countries are often chased away, their livelihoods threatened as they're forced out of traditional fishing grounds. Sometimes, these confrontations turn violent. Boats are rammed, damaged, or even sunk, putting lives at risk and fueling anger. These aggressive actions have not gone unnoticed by the international community, drawing widespread concern and condemnation. The world has watched as China's presence grows stronger, with more ships, more bases, and more influence than ever before. In response, the United States Navy has sailed through the area, conducting freedom of navigation operations to challenge China's sweeping claims and reassure regional allies. But for the countries and communities that live here, the threat isn't just political, it's personal and constant, affecting daily life and future prospects. China says it wants peace and stability in the region, but its actions, militarizing islands and confronting neighbors, tell a very different story. The region is on edge, with leaders holding emergency meetings and navies on high alert. The stakes are really high, and the world is watching closely to see what happens next. So, why did Indonesia, the Philippines, and Vietnam decide to unite now? The answer lies in recent events. In the past year, China's ships have become bolder. There have been more confrontations at sea. In some cases, Chinese vessels blocked oil exploration and fishing boats from neighboring countries. Just months ago, a Philippine supply ship was rammed near Second Thomas Shoal. Vietnamese fishermen reported being chased by large Chinese vessels. Indonesia's patrols faced warnings from China near the Natuna Islands. Each incident chipped away at patience and trust. But it was not just the incidents, it was the pattern. Each country realized that if they did not act together, their sovereignty could be lost, piece by piece. Public pressure grew. Citizens demanded action from their leaders. The decision was not easy, but the risks of inaction became too great. Unity, at last, seemed the only way forward. This alliance is not just talk. In January, the navies of Indonesia, the Philippines, and Vietnam held their first joint maritime patrol in disputed waters. Warships moved in tight formation. Helicopters hovered overhead. The message was clear: these waters are not for taking. Just weeks later, the three countries held a trilateral summit in Manila. There, they signed new agreements on intelligence sharing, joint Coast Guard operations, and coordinated responses to maritime incidents. Plans for regular naval drills were announced. The cooperation goes beyond military action. Diplomatic teams now meet every month, sharing updates and strategies. Coast Guard hotlines connect the three nations, allowing for quick responses to emergencies at sea. These actions are building trust. They show that unity is not just a slogan, it is real, and it is happening now. Officials from all three countries are speaking with one voice. Indonesian President Widodo said, "We stand together to protect our waters and our future." Philippine President Marcos Jr. declared, "No nation, no matter how powerful, can bully us when we are united." Vietnam's Prime Minister added, "Regional peace depends on our resolve." Experts agree. Dr. Maria Santos, a maritime security analyst, said, "This alliance changes the game. China must now think twice before acting aggressively." Professor Nguyen Van Min from Hanoi University explained, "It is a sign of maturity. These countries are putting aside past disputes for a bigger cause. International voices have also weighed in. The United States, Japan, and the European Union have expressed support for the alliance. They see it as a step toward balance and stability in Asia. Still, the leaders know this is just the beginning. The road ahead will not be easy. The South China Sea is more than a local issue. Trillions of dollars in trade pass through these waters every year. Millions depend on its resources for their livelihoods. Whoever controls the sea holds great power, not just in Asia, but globally. For Indonesia, the Philippines, and Vietnam, this is about survival. It is about national pride. It is about the right to decide their own future. For China, it is about influence, security, and access to resources. The alliance challenges that. For the world, the risks are real. If conflict breaks out, global trade could suffer. Energy prices could soar. Alliances could be tested. The outcome will shape the balance of power for years to come. This is why the world is watching. This is why the stakes could not be higher. The alliance faces many challenges. China is powerful. Its navy is one of the largest in the world. It has deep pockets and strong political influence. The three allies must work hard to keep their unity strong. There are also differences among them. Past disputes, language barriers, and different military systems can make cooperation difficult. Trust must be built, day by day. Mistakes or misunderstandings could be costly. Economically, each country relies on trade with China. There are fears that Beijing could use economic pressure to weaken their resolve. Some businesses worry about sanctions or lost markets. Finally, there is the risk of escalation. A single clash at sea could spiral into something bigger. The leaders must balance strength with restraint. They must be careful, but they cannot back down. The future is uncertain. Will the alliance hold? Will China change its approach? Or will tensions rise even higher? These are the questions everyone is asking. Diplomats, generals, and ordinary people are watching closely. One thing is clear, the old way is over. The United Stand by Indonesia, the Philippines, and Vietnam has changed the equation. Other countries in the region may soon join. The United States and its allies may deepen their support. What happens next will shape Asia and the world for years to come. For now, the world holds its breath, watching the waves of the South China Sea, waiting for the next move in this regional showdown.